So for this question, we need to start by putting everything on one side and get 0 on the other side, right? So this is our f of x. So what about f prime? The derivative is 4 over 2, or 2x cubed minus 3. That's our f prime. And the last column, of course, always is going to be x minus f over f prime. And we looked at the graph on this one. By the way, I've already entered the y1 and y2 in here. But when you're first looking at the graph, what I was suggesting to you was turn off the second and the third ones. Otherwise, it'll overcrowd your graph. How do you turn it off? Put the cursor on the equal sign and press enter. It turns it off. I also want to turn off the third one. Put the cursor on the equal sign and press enter. Now, only the first one is selected, and I can graph this. And I may have zoomed in a little bit to see it better. Actually, let me go to zoom standard, say zoom 6. So it looks like it has 2 x-intercepts. In this one, I want to specify find a positive solution. For some questions, I asked you to find both of them. If you are to find both of them, you have to create 2 separate tables with 2 different initial guesses, right? So I'm going to find a positive one. And as I mentioned to you earlier, I started with 1. But this is what happened when I start with 1. First, let me go to the table and clear the past entries. Oh, you see, I turned it off. Now it doesn't show here either. I better go back and turn them back on. Press enter on the equal sign. Enter on the equal sign. Okay, on the table, now they will show up. So if I start with 1, I ended up with negative on the third column on y sub 3. And I knew this was going to start looking for the negative root. So but I was determined to find the positive root first. So I came back. And I remember from the graph, if you go a little bit to the right, you end up with a positive slope on the curve. So instead, I started with 1.5. So if I go to y3 now, that was positive, 2.825. Take that, come on down. 2.825 is my new iteration. This is my x sub 1. My x sub 0 was 1.5. And again, we can go to the end, see what's there. 2.341 was the next. 2.341. And if you look at the end there, 2.1206. This one's taking a little bit longer, but it's okay. What was it? 2.1206. Thank you. And so you guys, 2.074. We're almost there. 2.074. And finally, this is the last one, 2.072. Take it one more time. 2.072. Except don't put 2 dots in there. There we go. So if we go to the end, we have it. Now, sometimes what I'll ask you is when you copy your solutions, give me the first row, the last row, and the last column. Give me all the entries of the last column. That way, if you made a mistake somewhere, I still have some of your work. I can try to give you some partial credit, try to figure out what happened. But then you don't have to copy every single number there. So here, one moment, please. Here, I started with 1.5. I'm going to put the first row in there. But I'm not going to enter every single, excuse me, y1 was negative 4.969. y2 was 3.75. And y3 was 2.825. So I'm just going to now write down the third column, copying from the calculator. And again, why am I stopping at this level? Basically, I want, right, accuracy to the nearest 1,000. So when they start repeating themselves, that's when I stop. And again, ideally, I would also want you to write down the entries of the last row here. This one is almost 0. And the only other hint I I want to give you is if you have a trigonometric function, like in your handout you have one with cosine function, make sure that you are in radian mode in your calculator, because this process uses the derivative, right? You have in the formula f prime of x. Anytime you take the derivative of a trigonometric function, know that somehow in the process you assume the function was in the radian mode, basically. And some of you got the negative solution. Let's also write that down, so if somebody wants to do that, they can check their answer. What did you get for the other solution, the negative one? 0.8937. Would everybody agree? Okay, great. Pardon me, Sandra, did you get something? Can you guys double check this one, because I did not do this one. Did you all get the same thing? Okay, great.